Hey fam, welcome to my channel. I'm Sharita. This is Decor by Faith. I've been promising y'all that I was going to do part 2 of Girl, Get Your Credit Straight, and here we are. So I want to talk about a couple things, give you some homework, but I want to discuss what worked for me. Let me say this first. I am not an expert. I was a previous realtor, so I do know a little bit about, and I purchased 3 homes, so I do know a little bit about it. I was a realtor in 2008 to 2010. And then even there a little bit after, I was still dibble and dabble. I left because the market crashed and I need stability, right? So I got to have paycheck twice a week or twice a week, twice a month. I'm not discouraging anyone that is an entrepreneur that works for themselves. It just, at the time, I'll go back. I always said I would go back when the time is right. But at the time wasn't right. And now's not the time either. However, I see a lot of people talking about renting and, that it's better to rent. And so that's why I started this series, because God laid it on my heart that I got to educate people. So I want to talk to you. And I've got people in my family that, ask questions. So I want to talk to you about that and encourage you, offer you some information and encouragement. That's it, really. That is all this is about. So stay tuned, stick with your girl. I'm trying to get my notes up in front of me. My computer was going off. But anyway, so when I moved to Florida, I wanted to purchase a home. I'm sitting in it right now, praise God. So I know a little something, right, about what I'm talking about. And, not everybody's credit is perfection. Mine wasn't. And, yours may be. If it is, great, good for you. But I've learned a few things along the way, and that's what I want to share with you. So as I said, moved here, wanted to purchase a home. I rented for 4 years. If you saw the previous video, if not, go on over there. But I rented for 4 years. And then I was like, okay, I want to buy a home. So I had said, within the next year, I said, this is my last year of having a landlord. And so I moved into a home, just to give you more background. I moved into a home, beautiful home. It was an elderly community for 55 and up. But it had everything. It was like living at a resort, right? So it had pool tables. You name it, they had it. Beautiful, beautiful. Stayed there for a year. I was paying $2,100. And at the end of my lease, that was during COVID, right? So it was wonderful because I was on this great big lake, and I could just stay home. We were confined to being at home, couldn't go outside. And so, it was beautiful because it was a very nice home, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, it was beautiful. So I liked it. And the landlord was cool. It was a new home. She had purchased it. And because it was too small, she purchased another home. And let me tell you about this, sis. I can't remember her name. I would have said it. But, sis purchased the house cash. Wendy. And I said, Wendy, when I grow up, I want to be like you because you bought a $500 house cash. I want to be like that, right? And she said, Sharita, where I grew up, we were taught, we didn't have like Americans do. We don't have, didn't have all the, 6, 7, 8 pair of shoes and outfits. We had 2 outfits. You wore one, you wore still. So our mentality, right? We've got, it's not just you. I have it too. We have a spend mentality. Our mentality is to spend. Now, I am pretty disciplined about some things. Like I don't have to have, a Rover or any of that stuff. I do like, nicer cars, but I don't have to have the latest and greatest. My pastor taught me that, got a text. I'm sorry. My pastor taught me, to buy a car that's 3 years old, as opposed to buying a new car. So some of those things I've got together. But yeah, so that's the goal. One day to be able to buy a $500,000 house cash. Okay. And so anyway, so at the end of the year, she decided she wanted to sell. I was going to stay there. I had planned just to stay there. And from there, I was going to move. I was looking at the time, but wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger. And so she decided she wanted to sell. She gave me 30 days. So I got to find somewhere quick. So I'm scrambling, I'm praising, and I'm praying, and I'm crying, and I'm like, God, I got to find somewhere. Like, where am I going to go? And, so I was trying to find an apartment real quick, and it was crazy because, like I said, it was a pandemic. So, people are leasing and then they're trying to move too. So there was a lot of competition. Prices were crazy. A lot of people have amnesia about those years and they thought it was so wonderful. I just don't know. As far as the economy, I don't know where I was, but I was struggling. So anyway, I found a home in Wesley Chapel, and that's why if you saw one of my videos, I toured some homes out there, and I've got a couple more I'm going to share with you. But anyway, I love Wesley Chapel. Went there, and I rented a home, and it was $2,600. So I jumped from $2,100 to $2,600, and sis, I had to pay 2 months as a deposit. So that's why I was like, oh no, I ain't having no landlord. I ain't, nope, not doing this. I'm getting me a house. And so these people that say, rent, yeah, you won't have to pay. Usually you don't have to pay an apartment 2 months. Usually you don't have to pay an apartment 2 months, but sometimes the apartments are just as bad as homes. And I like to rent a home because I like to have a garage. I like to have space. Plus, I've owned 3 homes previously, so that's my preference. Anyway, so fast forwarding to where I am today. So I needed to get my credit straight. I had 4 collections on my credit report. And so I pulled my credit report. So this is note number 1. Pull your credit report from annualcreditreport.com. Don't Google it. Make sure you go to annualreport.com because you'll get a lot of people trying to sell you and they'll do it for you. Again, you can do this yourself. They give you a free credit report once a year. So there's no charge for it. Pull it and then take a look and see what's on there. So I saw that I had 4 collection accounts. And what I did was I Googled again and I looked up, how to verify these accounts. And I found, I think it was LendingTree. Yeah, LendingTree had a website. I'll drop that in the description as well. They had a website that had a debt validation letter on there. So I took that debt validation letter and just cut and paste, and I sent it to each of the 4 collection agencies that were on my credit report. Let me emphasize, collection agency, not the original creditor, the collection agency. So I sent that to each of the collection agencies and basically said, what is this? I don't know you. Who are you? What is this debt? Please verify it. Send me. And it's got specifics, right? So I sent the same. I might have modified it, edited it just a teaspoon, but I sent it to each, and one by one, domino came out. And one of the creditors, I've got an excerpt of what they sent me. Unfortunately, we're unable to provide requested documentation within a reasonable time. So this is law that they have to do this. Now, granted, the laws are changing. I'm sorry. The laws are changing, though, with the stroke of a pen. So I'm assuming that the housing won't be affected by this. But 2 years ago, this is what I received. So at any rate, unfortunately, we're unable to provide the requested documentation within a reasonable time frame, and as such, blank has ceased all collection activities. So you hold on to that letter, and then they said that they requested to have it deleted from the Consumer Credit Agency files. So you hold on to that letter in the event that they try to come back, or they sell it to another collection agency or whatever, somebody else purchase it. Because if you don't know, once you have a debt and it goes to a collection agency, that original, say you owe, Verizon, and Verizon sells that debt to ABC collection agency. So now they buy it for pennies, but they're coming to you trying to collect all of it. So, you can dispute it, especially there's a law, statute of limitations. So I've seen people or talk to my friends and they'll tell me something's like 7 years old. You can't try to collect that. Comcast is good for that. They'll try to collect from 7 years or greater. You cannot, there's a statute of limitations. Again, some of the laws haven't changed. Statute of limitations that says that they have 7 years to collect that debt. If not, They got to get it off your credit report. So again, number one, go to annualcreditreport.com, pull your credit report and go through it. That will give you all of your credit information. And you want to go to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian to pull your credit report, because each one may be different. One may have something, the other doesn't, and you got to put together a plan to get each of those items off. Another thing that you want to do in looking at your credit report is make sure that the things that are on there that are valid are accurate, right? Because if they say you missed a payment, if you didn't, then you go to the original, maybe it's your car. You go to your lender and you say, hey, I didn't miss a payment. What is this? Can, we have this investigated or what have you? So that's the other thing. Also, with your credit, if you have credit, you want to make sure that your balance is less than 35% of your credit limit. So what does that mean? I've got a $1,000 credit limit. I don't want to have a balance more than $350. Otherwise, it pulls down my credit score, because what you want to have is more credit available. And it shows that you manage money well, basically, is what they're looking at. So 35%, 30, 35, I hear a variation of the two. But what you can do, number two, is go to creditkarma.com. If you don't already have an account set up, I encourage you to do that, because Credit Karma will let you simulate what credit score. So if I pay this down to 35%, what would my credit score be? And just do those things and put together a plan of action. Girl, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there, girl or guy. We're going to get you there. So put together a plan of action on who you owe, like all your debt. List everything that you owe, how much it is, and then start with the smallest one. So if you got a credit card and you've got $200 balance on there, pay that off. Why? First of all, you should not be carrying over a balance of $200. Don't go to Starbucks and buy a venti chai with oat milk, no water, and put it on a credit card. Because that $7, $8 drink, guess what? It's going to get hit with 20% or whatever your interest rate is. And a lot of times interest rates are high right now, right? Because of the economy. We thought we were going to get some relief, and guess not, because we're doing other things. I'm sorry. I digress. But anyway, so you're going to be paying for that coffee, that chai, and paying interest on it because you're carrying a balance. Like, we got to be wiser, y'all. We got to be wiser in 2025 with how we spend. God has given us, we're our steward over this, and he's given us the ability to get wealth. I think that's in Deuteronomy. So we're going to start by managing what we have better than what we've been doing. Okay? All right, y'all with me? So we're going to pay off our smallest credit cards if we can, or put together a plan and start with the smallest one. Now, I've seen people do it, or heard people do it both ways. I went to a financial class actually at my church, and I was taught to start with the smallest one. And so that $200 one, once you've got that paid, then take that over here to the next one, and then just work your way up till you get to the largest. But at any rate, we're going to pay down our credit, pay down our debt. We want to see it less than 35%. So if you've got a total of $10,000, all your credit cards combined, or $10,000 credit, available credit, then you don't want to have more than what? $3,500. That's right, $3,500. No, I'm silly. $3,500. That's the most that you want to have outstanding that you owe. And again, you really should be paying it off, but I get it. I'm not going to say that I haven't, I purchased my furniture. Now, I did it wisely, though. What I did is I went out and I found a credit card that didn't have any interest, 0 APR, annual percentage rate, 0 APR for a year and a half. So I got a year and a half to pay off this credit card. So I put together a plan on how much I was going to pay every month, and then I'm not hit with interest. So there's some strategy to it, and there's a method to the madness. But again, the credit report is free. Go to creditkarma.com. Well, let me back up. I'm sorry. That was kind of confusing. Go to annualcreditreport.com to get your free credit report. And then also go to creditkarma.com just to get an idea of if I paid this, and use that simulator. If you don't have credit cards, and you don't have lines of credit, some lenders will use non-traditional, like they'll use your utility bills. We're not there yet, but just giving you a heads up. They'll use like your cell phone bill. They'll use, gas, whatever, if you've paid those things on time. And even, I can't remember if it's Experian or Equifax, one of them will even let you use that to boost your score too. So at any rate, let's get started. We're going to take this in baby steps. I'm here with you for the duration. As you see, I'm sitting in my home. This was one of many, because I did have several dream homes, and I'm still dreaming, right? Because I believe that this is the way to get generational wealth. Can't say it, but I believe it. So, because the thing about it, in case you don't know, and I'm talking to everyone because, we're not taught these things, right? I wasn't taught in school. But houses appreciate in value. So we saw that in 2020 when, $300,000 houses now were worth $500,000. Now the market is stabilizing a little bit now, but even when it's normal, right? And I don't know what the annual appreciation rate is, but say, it's 2-3%. So even if it's normal, then each year I'm going to see that much of an increase. It's called equity. So if I owe $500,000 on my home and now it's worth $600,000, that's $100,000. That's, a wish. But, then that's $100,000 in equity. And so that's why it's important to get away from your landlord, because your landlord now has the equity. So he's charging you rent. He's charging you $2,000, $2,500, whatever. And he's got equity. And so he then, when he's ready to sell, like Wendy, when she was ready to sell, she made like 150, 125, because I'm that nosy one that goes out to see how much you sold it for. I think she made like 150, 125, and you paid cash for it. So, that's a smart move. That's the money move. Those are boss moves that we want to get to. But first, we got to start where we are, right? So we've got to acknowledge it. You know what? I got to fix my credit. Girl, I got to get my credit straight. And let's start there. And then as we progress, I've got a couple of organizations also. Maybe you don't want to do it yourself, right? There are a couple of free organizations for those that are watching in Indianapolis. I'm going to send this to my niece, so I'm talking to you, Niecy. Go to Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partner, INHP. It's probably .org. I thought I had it open. I don't. But go to INHP. If you Google that, it should come up. And they help with credit repair. They also help. They've got a couple institutions that they work with, and they try to avoid predatory lending. So it's another big word, but there were a lot of lenders out there that were taking advantage of, homeowners. That's why the market crashed in 08, 09 in that neighborhood. So anyway, INHP will provide a lender. They've got a couple that, assuming that things haven't changed, they've got a couple lenders that they can get you financed through. The thing about them is they don't have a lot of the PMI and down payments and all of those things. So it's very affordable to buy your first home. And unless something's changed, it's been a few years, I used to partner with them. But unless something's changed, the down payment was minimal. The credit rate was, the APR was always really good, like 6%, whatever. It was always really good. So very affordable. And what I was going to say, I was trying to remember if you didn't see my wheels turning. What I was going to say is you can live anywhere too. So you don't have to live in a specific zip code unless something's changed again, because it's been a few years since when I was a realtor, I would partner with them if someone needed credit repair or what have you, because it's a great organization. So INHP for those in Indianapolis, and then NACA, I do have them open, and I know they assist buyers in Florida, leaving the Tampa Bay area. I want to say Orlando too, but go to NACA.com. and you can find information about NACA. I know they're in Atlanta too, and they're in other states. I just don't remember all of them off the top of my head. Here's some: Tulsa, I said Indianapolis, or I didn't say Indianapolis. They're also in Indianapolis. So these are a couple of options to help you achieve your dream to get into home ownership and to cancel. Let's cancel the real estate, cancel the landlord. So those are a couple options though for you. And the thing about NACA, I've worked with both of these organizations. The thing about NACA is they're very similar to INHP. I can't remember if they have certain areas that you have to purchase in or not. But I would encourage you, yeah, they do, because it goes something about, they're trying to get you to move into lower income areas, and they want to revitalize those areas. They do have a couple of programs, so they have another one where you can choose your home, but there's stipulations. So again, talk to them. I'm just trying to give you resources to help you. All right, so let's review. Number one, we're going to go to annualcreditreport.com, pull our credit report. We're going to look at everything that's on there. We're going to write down. We're going to come up together with a plan if we truly owe everything on there. If we have collection accounts on there, we're going to write a debt validation letter. And then we're also going to set up a creditkarma.com. If you don't have one already, we're going to set up one, and we're going to do some simulations. So we're going to see, okay, if I pay off Visa, what will my credit score be, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to get there. Like I said, this is baby steps. We're going to get there together. I'm going to coach you. And, I told God that I would do this. That might sound crazy to you, but me and God, we do talk. That prayer is a dialogue, right? And I told him, when he blessed me and he brought me through my situation, I told him, God, I'll tell my testimony as long as they listen, until they get tired of hearing me. And I will tell them, because this that I'm sitting in right now, they will tell you, he saw it. He saw it come to pass. They told me, I got my credit in order. I got everything in place. And then got everything in place that, we needed. And they kept changing the down payment amount. Not the down payment, I'm sorry, the closing costs. The closing costs kept changing. And I've got emails. I can show you all the receipts. At one point, it was like $50,000, $60,000. And I was like, I don't have that. Like, I got, we'll talk about that in as we go through. But, I don't have that. And in the end, like I said, we'll talk about it in more detail. I don't want to get ahead of myself. In the end, it was a few $1,000s. Like, God worked that thing. So my point is, I told him, God, I'm going to tell them till they get tired of hearing. They ain't going to believe me, Lord. They're not going to believe me. But I've seen you do it. And I've seen you do it not only in 2023 when we walked into this miracle. Was it 23? Yeah, 23. March 1st, right? Yeah. Traden's birthday. Happy birthday, Traden. But anyway, 2023, when we walked into this miracle, I've seen you do. But I saw you do it in 2000. I saw you do it when I purchased that home. 2010? Can't remember. No, 2000, then in 2008. Because 2008, 2009. And so, I've seen you do it, God. I've seen you do it. I've seen you open doors. I've seen you make a way, and things do change. Sometimes they'll have our former vice president. She had actually talked about giving, $25,000 to buy a home. But hopefully, we'll see some changes in DC, and hopefully, in the next few years, we'll be able to return to programs like that. When I was a real estate agent, there was a first-time buyers assistance program, and you had to stay in there so many years, and then at the end you didn't know. And there are still programs out there, like at the local level, that provide that as well. If you don't have a real estate agent, if you're already ahead, you got your credit, you ready, I would encourage you to get you a good real estate agent to help you through the buying process. Even myself, as a former realtor, I had a real estate agent. So you don't want to go this alone. And even if you're building a new home, I encourage you to get a real estate agent. So that's a lot. I know we talked about a lot of information. I'm giving you a homework assignment. You guys get ready, set, and go. Gonna take care of those things. And my only goal in doing this is, to share God's glory, to share what he did for me, to share that he can do the same thing for you. He will do the same thing for you, y'all. We just got to keep the faith. We got to trust him above any economies and everything else. Trust God. That's how we're going to get through this, and we'll get this repaired and fixed and get you in a new home and get beyond landlords. Time out for that. Get to home ownership. So that's it, guys. Remember, no weapon, none, Isaiah 54:17, formed against you shall prosper. You got this, girl. You can do this. Girl, let's get your money straight. Let's get your credit straight. And in the end, ain't nobody going to be mad but the devil. And, well, maybe the collection agency. And, yeah, they might be mad, the landlord. But that's all right. This is your last year paying rent. Y'all be blessed. And let me know if you have any questions.